Did you know that in the late 1970s, the Bigfoot movement got help from the Federal Bureau of Investigation? It's true. The FBI, in its own way, helped look for Bigfoot. You see, in 1976, adventurer Peter Byrne wrote to the FBI requesting help. His research group, called the Bigfoot Information Center, wrote to J. Cochran Jr., the FBI's top laboratory guy, asking the Bureau to look at, quote, 15 hairs attached to a tiny piece of skin. Byrne had spent much of his life looking for the so-called Yeti people in the Himalayas, and now here he was after Bigfoot. Modern Bigfoot theories, that is, claims that Bigfoot actually exists, originated in Humboldt County, California, where in 1958 a tractor driver claimed to find a set of huge footprints. A whole folklore emerged among Humboldt lumber loggers about mysterious hunky creatures moving oil drums from here to there and back. And somehow the name Bigfoot got attached to the supposed beast, probably in remembrance of 19th century Texas Rangers and Lakota Sioux leaders who were all known by the Bigfoot nickname. In 1967, a couple of Bigfoot enthusiasts made a 1-minute film that purported to show Mr. Bigfoot himself marching around Bluff Creek, Northern California in his birthday suit. And after that, Bigfoot accounts quickly merged into the 1960s counterculture. But we still haven't figured out why the FBI agreed to take a look at Byrne's 15 pieces of hair. And I can't say I know for sure, but I think we can find clues in the context of the 1970s. Up until the early 1970s, as you know, the FBI was run by its famed chief, J. Edgar Hoover. The totally straight-laced Hoover would never have allowed the FBI's labs to get into Bigfoot stuff. But Hoover died in 1972, and during the chaotic Watergate period, Richard Nixon appointed 3 FBI heads, the last one being Clarence Kelly, former Kansas City chief of police. And Kelly looked at Hoover's secret files and was appalled at all the sneaky COINTELPRO stuff that the Bureau had been into. And he told his agents to stop doing what he called political investigations and get back to the old-fashioned business of pursuing crooks. But the problem was that the lawbreakers in the 1970s had gotten pretty weird. There was Patty Hearst and the Symbionese Liberation Army. There was the Weather Underground going around bombing stuff and blowing themselves up in Greenwich Village townhouses. There was the so-called Falcon and the Snowman case, in which former altar boys from wealthy families were caught selling secrets to the Soviet Union. So by 1976, between Hoover's death, Watergate, and all this weirdness, the FBI had loosened up to a point where, when Byrne wrote to FBI laboratory guru Cochran about looking into some Bigfoot hairs, Cochran said, sure, why not? At least that's my theory. What did the FBI labs conclude about the hairs? In February of 1977, Cochran wrote to Byrne's sponsoring group and explained that they came from a deer, and the Bureau returned the quote-unquote evidence back to them. The FBI's files on this case were not released until 2019, 42 years later, but Bigfoot fever had by no means subsided. 3 years earlier, the University of New Mexico spent $7,000 on a Bigfoot conference that lasted 2 days. And to this day, Bigfoot is still, well, Bigfooting along, bigger and better than ever, thanks to AI technology.